you for joining us today and talking about basically lead generation, isn't it? You know, what we talked about, sort of promoted pipeline, is that's basically lead generation in its essence. And I'm here today with Joelle and Anne to talk a bit about this, and also about the benefits of NADEC and how you can join up on their session later this year. Just while the last of you are logging in, I can see we've got a really great number of people. So this is obviously a lot of interest. Happy to see that. Just while the last of you are logging in there, quick introductions on who will be speaking today. If I can get my mouse to work. Here we go. So delighted that Anne Burkett is joining us. She's the Executive Director of the North Alabama International Trade Association. Most importantly for today's webinar, she is the chairperson of NADEC. And I'm going to let Anne speak a little bit later about sort of what NADEC does and how you can get a bit involved and such, and a big event they're having in May. I'm joined by my colleague, Joelle. Joelle Lazarotto is the marketing director here at IBT Online, and is an absolute fount of knowledge on anything in digital marketing. So I'm very pleased to be taking Joelle out of her normal client meetings and spend some time with us talking about lead gen, as I said, about how to be visible and up your prospect game using AI tools. And myself, my name is Susanna, and I'm Susanna Hardy. I'm Chief Content Officer at IBT Online. Just to say who and what is IBT Online, we are what's known as a full stack digital marketing agency. So, you know, we cover the full range of digital marketing. That's, you know, from building websites to managing websites. That's from e-commerce to all parts of digital marketing and support. And then as well, obviously, in this new era, we have a lot of expertise, a lot of programs about avatars, AI-empowered things, and video generation. Our headquarters are in Fort Lauderdale, but we're known for our international aspect, and we have offices in many different countries, including France, Germany, the UK, and so on, and China even. We are really pleased to be have a strategic partnership with NADEC, and we have also rolled out a whole series of what's called the online global programs in a whole variety of US states. So if you want to learn more about that, please check out our website or get in touch with us, or check us out on our LinkedIn pages. How about that? Today, as I said, we're going to start off with Anne just saying briefly about, oh, what have I done? Oops, hold on. Sorry about this. I'm not sure what happened there. Hold on just a second, just while I get this back up. Joelle, have you got any?
I am trying to do exactly the same, Susanna. Bear with me. Everything seems to be a little frozen on my side.
Yeah, everything suddenly froze. That's interesting.
Apologies.
Yeah. Okay.
And do you want to maybe take the moment to talk about the deck and the conference where we get this up?
Be glad to. Thank you, Susanna and Joelle, for partnering with NADEC on this program and as a partner throughout the year. We really value your partnership and the content that you bring to exporters, especially small business exporters, as they explore how to become reach more markets overseas. As Susanna said, I'm Anne Burkett. I am serving as the chairman of the National Association of District Export Councils this year. And if you're not familiar with the District Export Council, it is a group of individuals, one in each state. Some larger states have more than one district export council called DEC. And the members are appointed by the Secretary of Commerce to serve in that capacity to help businesses develop markets overseas and be advisory to companies in helping them locate markets. The NADEC is a national association. It was created to bring all the techs together so that we can share best practices, we can partner on webinars and events. And our one big event that we have every year is our National Export Conference. And this year, we are moving our conference out of the Washington, D.C. area to Nashville, Tennessee. It's going to be May 12th and 13th. And the focus and topic is global trade in transition. And all are welcome to attend this conference. I think you can go to the NADEC website, usaexporter.org, for more information. We may be able to send out a link following the webinar so that you can get more information. But we bring in key government officials, key industry people, and key thought leaders to talk about what's going on in trade. And this year's conference is particularly timely with this webinar because a big portion of it will be focused on AI. That is such an important aspect of trade these days. Our keynote speaker will be from OpenAI, talking about the new architecture of global trade and AI. We'll also have some panelists talking about their experiences in AI, and we will be having, we're partnering with our decks in Tennessee. So it's 2 decks in Tennessee, the West Tennessee deck and the Tennessee deck. And we're partnering with them on a program specifically focused on Tennessee called From Whiskey and Rye to High Tech and AI. So they're going to be talking about what's going on in Tennessee with high tech and AI. And they have a program in Memphis called the Digital Delta that will be profiled, as well as we will hear from others in the region about how they're utilizing AI in the different industry sectors. Another number of other programs will be included topics, on geopolitical uncertainty, tariffs, trade in the courts. We have roundtable sessions on all the hot countries around the world. So I'd just like to invite you to come. And again, thank you, Susanna, for allowing NADEC to work with IBT Online. We really appreciate your partnership.
And thank you for that. And also, you saved our bacon. We found the slide deck. It disappeared there for a while, but we're not sure which version we have, so it's going to be interesting. It's exciting. It's a real live event. That's what it's called, a live webinar. Anyway, folks, this is also the slide for that shows the May 12th, May 13th, 26th event for NADEC. Just wanted to circle back in terms of our agenda. We're going to look first at sort of a bigger picture, then I'm going to scroll down right away into the major tools that people are using at the moment in AI, and then focus in on some use cases. So let's start off with some sort of high-level things as well. We've all been talking an awful lot about AI. I've taken out quite a few stats from all this, but hopefully there's enough meat in there that you can find some interesting numbers. So just AI and the whole change that's happening now in digital marketing has been so overwhelming, so absolutely 180% degree change that people are still really trying to work out where we're going and what to use in terms and how to measure terms in digital marketing. Popular request, we have now started what's called a 5-part, or we're calling a 5-part digital growth masterclass series. And this is the first of that series. The next one, for example, will be at the end of, so we're going to have one a month, every month for the next 4 months, 5 months. And the next one is all about CRMs. And that is about how you manage your leads coming in. What does it mean to segment your CRM? What does it mean to follow the buyer persona within your ideal corporation profile? So that's worth having a look as well. If those are of interest to you, check out our website. They have a link to that on the upcoming events. As I said, it's a 5-part series in which we will try and really home in on that growth engine, that growth driving engine, digital growth engine, as we're calling it. So that's what I want to talk about. Now, all these converging trends that we have online are that we're talking about a lot. We're going to be focusing today on just the AI part of it, but the AI part is sort of seeped into all of these other major trends, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's data privacy, guardrails, regulation, security, personalization. All of that has been affected by this overwhelming AI, which really sits on top of the digital environment in today's online world. It doesn't actually surprise me that much, because the internet is founded on AI, and digital marketing in particular is absolutely founded on AI. If you think about how Google started with its algorithms to sort of build AI systems and build the internet forward and build search possibilities forward, all that is basically types of AI. The LLMs, the large language models, is a step change. But AI is affecting, as we all say, we know all the time now, it's affecting all parts of our lives. But digital marketing has been absolutely imploded by AI and is in the process of being reconstructed and rebalanced with new players, with new ways of doing it, and with new ways of measuring it and getting results for that. And we'll talk a bit more about that as well. And it's, we've all heard about the uptake in AI, and that I think is part of this. The internet and digital marketing in particular was very ready to get this. So there's a couple of stats here as well. About 15% of ChatGPT's users are based in the USA. Only 15%. Latest numbers I have is from February 2026. 26% of Americans have tried AI, but less than 50% of companies have integrated any aspect of AI into their business for that. So, there's still a long way to go. And it's interesting because AI is now, and chat, if you take chat, is about 80% of the market share of LMs. If you look at where chat is today in terms of in terms of popularity, it has really changed the way people look online and what we do online. So here on the right hand side, you have February 2024. Chat isn't even there. A year after being launched, it's not even amongst the top 10. February 2026 is number 5. And what's interesting is to see who's lost and who's gained. So Google and such have they've increased somewhat their participation in terms of the top websites. They've grown a little bit, although they have actually lost market share if you look at the total number of people online. But ChatGPT has really taken market share. It's taken market share from almost everybody, but especially from companies like sort of X, Yahoo, and so on. And if you think that ChatGPT is also linked and using Reddit and Wikipedia, that's also showing how strong those are. So ChatGPT now 5th largest website user in the world. Joelle, what does that actually mean? What does that mean for companies? Okay, ChatGPT, what does that mean for your company, Joelle?
That is a great question. And that's actually something that Susanna mentioned. I have the pleasure of attending most, if not all, of the client meetings that we do at IBT Online across the board. And one of the topics now is very much AI-driven traffic. Where are we gaining referrals to the website from the likes of ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini? And I just wanted to share an example here. Sometimes, you look at that and say, yeah, but okay, my Google Organics is still driving a lot of traffic. My paid ads are driving a lot of traffic. We can see this LLM growing, although the number of users, relatively seems small if you're comparing volume. But for me, one of the biggest takeaways and one of the biggest things that we're seeing time and time again is that, yes, the LLM traffic is growing, although Google and the major search engines are not going anywhere just yet. So if you compare volumes, for example, on the next slide, we have a graph that will show, I just wanted to bring some data, for example, on 90 days, you'll see the big graph, the big spikes, that's Google Organic. This website has had a really strong SEO work, really strong website. And then you have the LLM that's really starting to grow. But for me, what we've really started to see and is really interesting is that the number of traffic that reaches our website is growing. So you see 99% increase in 90 days from ChatGPT, but also you start to see small volume of Perplexity, Gemini. But what I think is really important to note is that the traffic that reaches our website from an LLM in this case, has an engagement rate that is over 70%. For those of you who are not particularly used to analytics, the average on a website, a good average, is between 45 and 50%. So this means that in this case, users spend over 6 minutes on the website, and this leads to a 20 to 25% increase or lift in conversion. So whether it's an e-commerce or whether it's a lead generation, so a sale or a direct lead. And this, it very much happens because the LLM fast track, so to speak, that awareness stage. Once they reach your website, they already have done their initial research, so they know what they're looking for, and that traffic is basically much more valuable for a conversion than maybe your top level blog traffic is from a more organic search. So although the numbers might seem small when you go and look at them, please do remember that they all need to be measured in their own context. So that's really one of the main pieces that we always discuss. There is a big challenge there into analyzing and understanding the data, but that's one of the big pieces. Traffic from chat in this case, it behaves very differently to what you might be used to see from an organic users coming, for example, to a blog. Just before I hand back over to Susanna to move to the next session, I also just wanted to have a look at really what's the challenge, and that's something that we face. We get asked a lot. How can you really integrate AI and everything that AI means into this idea of marketing, your sales and marketing strategies? How do you align everything with your digital presence? So from my point of view here is, some of the question you can start asking yourself is, are all of the members of my sales team and marketing team AI savvy? Are we all on the same page? How do we keep up with AI development? Which tools are best for my companies? And we'll get to that a little bit later on about tools and the tech stack. What are the benefits I should expect? How do I measure results? What KPIs do I track when we talk about AI and how this integrates within your marketing and sales strategy? Do you have the right in-house expertise, or is there value in bringing in external expertise? So all of these questions is very much where we see companies facing challenges when AI is brought to the table. So we're really hoping that we'll be able to at least start addressing them or give you some tools to go away and think about them. And then, always happy to pick them up later on in the webinar and or in a separate discussion.
Thanks very much, Joelle. And I love the explanation about how Google is still very relevant, very present. 88 billion users a month, whatever it is. And certainly, if I just look at my own personal use and try and think about that, what time is the store open? Is the dry cleaner still open? What time is my train? Things like that. I'll use Google. But how do I solve this issue? How do I integrate this part into that part? What's the best one? Those are definitely on LLM, definitely on a different basis there. I'm going to take us back a second here. This is what Joelle mentioned in terms of this growth in the tool stack. And we're calling it an explosion, because from our point of view, digital marketeers' point of view, it is an explosion. So, if I'm being a little bit facetious with this slide, but hopefully you get what I mean. These good old days when it was all about keyword research, and you were doing a good job if you made sure you had all the right keywords, the right ones. You were looking at your competitor keywords too. You would review them every 3 months. You could refresh some of the content, add some imagery. If you were really smart, you put in the image alt tags. Nobody quite knew how to pronounce that word, hreflangs. Most people didn't even bother. You only looked at your Google Analytics, and then afterwards your GA4 for the analytics. Perhaps if you were more sophisticated, you had a few SEMrushes and a few other analytical tools. But basically, it was well contained. And the golden apple, what you're really searching for was organic. You were looking for organic growth, because that meant, one, you weren't paying for that growth. People were naturally finding you because of your brilliant keyword research. So all you had to do was make sure those keywords worked, didn't have to pay for advertising, your boss was happy, and your keywords would just drive organic traffic, which was the right kind of traffic, and that's what instantly sort of magically turn into to leads. I'm obviously simplifying greatly, but that was basically what a lot of agencies and a lot of companies were looking at when they were talking about digital marketing. The world has definitely moved on in a major way, and we're all totally overloaded with emails, with spams, with slop from and this total social media. I've put here social media saturation. There's also social media backlash, particularly with regards, users, kids, adolescents, regulation, all that. There's a lot of backlash in here too, and a lot of fatigue with all this content. And at the same time, we've got this absolute explosion in terms of the tools that are available and out there. So we have moved from this rather simplistic, what we call a linear digital marketing model, to something which is much more global and wider. And Joelle, why don't you have a look at the next one? Tell us a bit about this classic keyword to sound around.
Absolutely, Susan. I just wanted to bring. I love data. If anyone has worked with me, they'll know I love data. So I just wanted to bring some numbers to put some of these into context. So Susanna, you mentioned that being found on the web, is no longer a linear journey. And this is because these days we don't just go, to Google unless it's a simple question. We just look at different, we research online, we look at, we compare brands, we follow them on social media, we look at what they send us, we go out and ask, maybe even forums, like Reddit and Quora, we engage with what people actually experience with that brand. If I want to buy something, I read the reviews on the likes of Amazon, for example. So I no longer just look at a website. I really have so much more information out there. So one of the biggest shifts we've seen is that at the moment, Google reported that 60% of a traditional Google search actually ends with a click. And I think that's really interesting because you go to Google to find information. You go to Google, you type your keywords, you ask the question, but 60% of searches end without a click. So 60% of people just find the information they want and then leave without even visiting a website. Whereas AI overview, for example, you're on Google or Microsoft, now we're platform agnostic, but it comes up with the AI overview. You have the answer you want. What time is my train? 2 or 3 from, from this and that. And there you go. And then if you find information you want, then is when you click, because it's easy, it's at the top, and they've made it, very user-friendly. But another thing that really makes me laugh is that AI is now the second most influential shopping source. So we don't go to the website, but I find it really interesting. We don't even trust, we don't even ask our friends or family anymore. We just go and ask AI, what is the best brand? Why? We explain to them what we want. And we trust that what we get back is the right answer because it sourced all of those channels that I could have done myself, but it's easier to trust the LLM to do that for me. And that's really goes to show that 57% of LLM citation. So LLM here, large language models, so ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, any of the big LLM, 57% of those actually do bring up reviews or social proof, to the point that the website, in this case, your website, is no longer the one source of truth. There is so much more in what we call the ecosystem that you need to pay attention to if you want to be successful in this new non-linear, maybe circular. That's kind of what we're trying to define in the next slide. For me, brand leads and sales growth is very much led by what we started calling a narrative omnipresence. Being on your website, having a strong website even, is no longer enough. You really need to own the best answer in your industry. So whether you have a niche industry or whether you are a specific consumer product, you need to make sure that you have the best answer out there. If you're not creating it, someone else is shaping the narrative, someone else is talking about your brand. Mm-hmm. And if it's not on your website and you cannot control it, then unfortunately, that's what the AI will see. And we'll go back to the idea, if you've been with us a little while, you know what we talk about buyer persona and ideal customer profile. You really need to understand what your ideal buyer would be asking what are their pain points, what are they asking the LLMs, what are they asking Google, and then really ensure that all of the content you share, you write, you promote is relevant, because relevance beats volume every time. And then here we go into third-party validation and clear positioning. Again, really make sure that you play within the full ecosystem. It's not just about the ranking on Google, but it's also who talks about you. So your reviews, your LinkedIn comments, any Reddit threads, all of that plays a part. So is there are a lot of different channels to pay attention to these days in terms of really aligning your marketing, your sales, and then making sure that you're visible in this AI first search experience. So this really has determined a huge shift from what we called search engine optimization to search everywhere optimization. So you, as Susanna, you mentioned at the beginning, you had a keyword, you have one channel, search engine, a few tools you looked at, your website, maybe your analytics, and then if you were running ads, perhaps you were already launching yourself into a third tool, but you knew there is a search, there is a website, there is a conversion. Now things are changing, and your lead generation very much depends on search engines, AI engines, social platform, reviews ecosystem, content distribution. And what I really want to drive here is that each of these elements require different content formats. So again, we talked about positioning, but you have a blog, you need to post that differently on social media. Reddit will require a different kind of interaction. Your website content needs to be structured slightly differently, to please both the user on your website, but also the machine is going to crawl it. And all of these uses a slightly different tool, or could be supported by a slightly different tool. So I went and did a little bit of research ahead of the session today, and I found that there are over 14,000 marketing technology solutions globally, 14,000 plus different tools that it just exploded. We call the tool stack explosion. There were roughly 150 that were commonly used in the MarTech space in 2011. So, okay, we're talking about 15 years, about 14,000. So how do you choose? Where do you start? That's the million-dollar question. So I've tried to put here some buckets in terms of there are SEO and content tools. There are tools to support you with your email marketing. There are tools to support you with your social media, paid ads, analytics, CRM and automation. Then there are the LLMs. So all of these different areas now have dedicated and specialized tools. Are these must-have? You can't have them all. However, if you don't, someone else is going to be out there trying to use them. And all of these have been built to obviously make your content perform better, make your content be seen better by the algorithm. So, there is a question about whether the investment, how much should you invest? And we know that for individual companies is often very difficult to justify, increasing the tech stack times, how many have I got here? 7. Times 7. Okay, I have Google. It's like, okay, now you need 7 other platforms to manage your 7 other buckets. So that's also where we're saying earlier, one of the questions is, do you have the in-house expertise and tech stack you need? Is it worth bringing in an expert? Maybe a bit biased in terms of, obviously at IBT Online, we love to support a company and we are proficient in a lot of these tools. But those are all of the conversations and all of the decisions that need to be made when you set your roadmap for future in terms of AI adoption and really being relevant in a AI first or LLM first search world. The second piece about data that I wanted to bring you is another question, obviously, with all the tools, and I talked about investment. How do you measure the return on investment of your LLMs? So the LLMs don't necessarily give us as much data as Google. Is really difficult to observe how many times is your brand cited on ChatGPT, how many times is my website being cited. That I only see the small portion of the traffic, but where is the rest? So we've tackled this challenge by building our own system. And here, very much for us, if you want to work within the LLM system, you need to have an AI data-driven approach that is going to show you what the starting point is and then where the optimization are required. So this is just a small example of what at IBT Online we've built in-house to support our corporate clients, monitor the AI visibility across the top 3 LLMs, so ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity, with the goal to improve visibility in LLM searches, because I strongly believe that if you don't know where you're at, if you don't know what's working or what's not working, it's really difficult to decide what you need to optimize, which channel you need to leverage the most. So I just wanted to bring this example because I'd love if anyone has any questions, or if anyone would love a copy of the report to learn more, please do get in touch, and we can always answer more questions. I could talk about this for like 4 hours straight, I don't know, so probably better I'll hand it back over.
Thank you very much, Joelle. No, it actually is one of the things that people don't actually realize is how do you measure the LLM integration? Getting getting our slide deck all messed up there in the beginning is set me off my stride. Let's have a quick poll. I meant to do this poll earlier. Has your company already integrated AI into existing workflows? And if so, you can take your mouse and just click on these things, and it should. And thank you. Oh, lots of responses here. All of a sudden, whoa! A lot of you are just beginning to test the AI waters, limited workflows. Nobody is totally scared off yet, but there's a good lot of you actually, like over a third that's still thinking about it. So we're very happy that you're here, but we're very happy as well with the number of people just beginning to test those AI waters. And there's some of you that are saying, yes, we've got them in several workflows. Whoa, well done. Okay, I'm going to stop that poll. And now we wanted to talk a little bit more about where those workflows are and how we're seeing this moving forward. We've sort of said there's 4 big buckets, if you're looking in terms of digital marketing, where we see value to use the AI platforms. And I think of starting off the base, people sort of dismiss websites these days, but it is nonetheless still a base. The core, floor of any digital marketing has got to be your website. That's where people will end up in order to have the contact forms, that lead gen, those landing pages has to be somewhere, has to be located somewhere. So it might as well be on your website. The absolute key role of and key rule of any website is to think, to put yourself in the shoes of your buyer persona. So don't put yourself in your shoes. Put yourself in the person who is searching. What are they looking for? What are their pain points? So that's when we say respect that local buyer persona. That's what we mean. And there's like 10 criteria at least that we can mention that go there. And AI has some interesting capabilities there. One of the key ones in terms of international websites, after all this with a NADEC audience, is that the translation tools are at long last fit for purpose. They're still not totally seamless and automatic and wonderful, but you can get a decent level, good enough to then hand it to a person to then fine tune. And what we do is we'll cross-reference several different AI tools for translation to try and get the best optimal use, including with optimizing it for keywords. So AI tools exist for making websites multilingual and at long last viable linguistically. They're no longer those horrible Google Translate things that we always made fun of. They now have some good ones for that. So real-time translation tools and even for personalization. We talked a bit, Joelle has already mentioned search engine optimization and the changes to search engine optimization and this introduction of what's called GEO or AI SEO or AEO. Nobody can quite decide on the name, but basically how, just the fact that AI exists means you're going to have to change the way you think about SEO. You can't just have SEO anymore. It'll leave you in the dust. And that whole the increasing importance then of brand management and of a holistic view. So no longer just looking at Google, but where are you on a Substack? Where are you where does your share of voice in the online world? And where are you being referenced? That reputation management, which is so important. And I guess if, like I said, nobody quite knows what to call this: generative engine optimization, AI SEO, AIEO. It sounds like I don't know, someone learning vowels. It is, the optimizing for an LLM requires very different skill sets. But as Chief Content Officer at IBT Online, I'm very pleased to say that the main driver of being found with LLMs is the quality of your content, so that the content has to be better than ever. It has to be absolutely flawless. It has to be the authority in your business and recognized as such by other organizations. So you're really looking for an authoritative voice in this brand management and that whole reputational management, not just in Google, as Joelle has pointed out, but across all lots of different platforms and across lots of different ways. So not just on an internet, but also in social media, on LinkedIn, on imagery, all kinds of things. So that requires different schemas, different ways of producing and displaying content as well. There you go. So, and remember also, this is very much a changing environment. I think it was, up until November, December, chat wasn't really able to read imagery, and now it can. So, 2 or 3 months later, it changes again, and it will change in the next 6 months. And there's a lot of change coming down the pipeline with these companies. And you can see, as Joel was talking earlier about that explosion of the tech stack, a lot of that is AI development of startups that are for specific digital marketing requirements and pain points. So we talked about these 4 pillars. Obviously, one pillar is your website and how to do that search engine optimization, that generative engine optimization. Another pillar is basically getting intelligence and getting knowledge, particularly market intelligence. So if you're a company and you're saying, I have a new product, I wonder what the price points are, or I wonder what demand is like for my product in X market, and so on. You can now really do a lot of information through different LLMs. So integrating trade data using AI. You can track your competitors and the competitor pricing and what the competitors are doing online on a very, very granular level now. Which will also tell you a lot about where they are seeing success and where they're seeing pain points. So that's the sort of second big pillar of market intelligence that AI is being used for in the digital marketing space. The third one I wanted to highlight is anything in e-commerce. E-commerce is so competitive. It is so fast moving. Basically, thank Amazon. So we're all so used to getting products the next day or the same day at a good price, flawlessly. It's seeped into all parts of e-commerce. So even if you're a B2B company, your suppliers, your customers might say, well, can I get this tomorrow? I said, well, no, it's a big complex piece. But we've all been used to this great experience that we have with the B2C in the B2C world. So it is very competitive, both in terms of price and in terms of experience. And where AI tools are helping is with that really increased customer experience, the personalization. Those chatbots are no longer just annoying things that pop up. They're actually, they actually have some use. So it's the ability of staying competitive and staying strong with that. And I'd say there's sort of a couple of different areas that it's really helping in terms of e-commerce. And whether that, the big platforms, WooCommerce, 45% market share, and Shopify about 20% market share, those are the big drivers, and they are all integrating with AI. You'll note that ChatGPT now has a partnership with Shopify, for example. WooCommerce is more a plugin, it's different, but it does very strong integrations as well with a lot of the LLMs. So here are some of the major things that are required now in terms of a really strong e-commerce presence for B2B and B2C. You know, chatbots, dynamic emails, AI-powered upselling, cross-selling, those smart product recommendations. Even for B2B companies, you say, you know, you just bought this, but you know that this piece here needs to be with that. So a lot of those are now done by AI in a very, very seamless way. So I've put in, sometimes it's hard to know where AI fits into the different tools of AI fit into these stacks. So I've tried to sort of say, you know, for, you know, machine learning, well, that's where a lot of you know, data patterns and things like that. So for e-commerce, that's, you know, those recommendations and things like that is the dynamic pricing, the natural language processing. Those are all of that, chatbots, customer satisfaction plugins, and so on. And then the computer vision. Remember, a lot of people search by imagery, not by words. That allows us to process visual data and also allow a visual search. So those are the three big, the ML, NLP, and CV are the big areas of AI for e-commerce. Going through then, just moving along, one of the major areas for AI is in that whole scalable content. How do you increase content? How do you make good content? So it's not just a matter of stuffing it full of keywords anymore. No, you have to make something that's really, really strong and great content. And here I've just added what Joelle was saying in terms of the engagement, the differences between a Google and an AI search. A Google, you get, you know, how, you know, what is this? And, you know, you ask for information. AI, you ask for a solution. It's a synthesis of conversations. It is a much broader approach for that. So here you've got a slide with a whole bunch of interesting some stats on smart advertising and e-commerce growth as well as scalable content. I wanted to just highlight one aspect of scalable content, which is a little bit cutting edge. Not many companies are using it really that much yet, but we are seeing this coming down the pipeline quickly, which is basically avatars and you know, computer-generated video script. And companies are finding that this is an incredibly cost-effective way to onboard new distributors, new employees, show companies what a complex manufacturing product does and how it scales. And using an AI avatar allows you to have it instantly multilingual. It's a fraction of the price of a full video process, and you can really design it to suit your buyer persona and change it rapidly. So it's very sort of plastic. You can use it very easily in different languages for different, and it's mainly used at the moment, at any rate, for educational reasons. But we're beginning to see companies, our clients, starting to roll it out for things like product demos, trade shows. I think anyone going to a trade show this year will start to see them everywhere. So that's the type of scalable content, which is quite cutting edge, but I think we'll see a lot of interest in the coming year or so. Right, let me not have a, so I wanted to just focus, you know, just on one slide. Here are some of the big things we talked about, those four big pillars: websites, market intelligence, all that content and hyper-personalization, and of course, real-time analytics as well that we can get. I just want one slide because this is not the subject, but it's still worth just saying, at least with one slide. We do need guardrails on anything with AI, anything with avatars. And it's just a reminder that any kind of use of AI, the responsibility stops with the board of the company, and it's the board that has to take a decision about how that company is using AI and in the complete ethical way that it is using. This is another tidal wave coming our way, so beware of that one as well. Right. I wanted to turn to Joelle to ask a little bit about some use cases. And I realize I've talked too much, so Joelle, please go ahead.
Sorry, classic. I forgot to unmute myself. Thank you, Susanna. I just wanted to bring really some practical example of what we've been discussing today. So the first one up here is Amsoil, Wisconsin-based company. We've been working with them since 2015. So together we've navigated with them a lot of changes in the digital landscape. Our main work with Amsoil is very much on their international market. So we manage their 7 language websites. But what I wanted to bring here is very much how some of the AI tools that is part of those 14,000 strong new tech stack that is available out there has really been supporting us in helping them grow their distributor network. So one of the big goals for the Amsoil International team is not just to promote the brand and solidify themselves as a global brand, but also to support their existing distributor network and also acquire new distributors in their local markets. So here the challenge for the team has always been ensuring that we can leverage the right channels, that we can leverage the right language, that we can understand the ideal customer persona in each of these different markets. You might imagine that doing this in Latin America is very different to doing this in India, in Australia, and in South Korea, for example, or South Africa. And this is where some of these AI-driven tools is really coming in to help us not just create the content a little bit more at scale, as Susanna was mentioning, making sure that we have the right kind of content, but also that personalization of the messaging based on the cultural nuances, the cultural norms, and everything that we wanted to push forward for them. That's been, we've really seen an increase in a click-through rate, for example, showing that what the messaging is relevant to the individual buyer persona, to individual potential partner in the market, and that's led to some really good quality inquiries through the social media channel and the website. So we've always taken a little bit of a step-by-step approach with them. So we've started by building and supporting their 7 dedicated international websites, but then we've very much launched and continue to run international digital marketing by identifying and supporting distributors, building landing pages, digital marketing campaign, validating the leads. And all of these is not, don't get me wrong, it's not run by AI. It's not something you can say, go and do it, but it is supportive. So, there is a level of research, a level of data, a level of personalization in the content copy that it just beats what I could personally produce. And with all due respect to my team, there is so much data out there to analyze that it gets kind of difficult to do it all manually. So we've really been able to, and if you see some of the imagery on the next slide, doing this in different languages, continuously doing this across different markets is something that some of these tools that we've shown earlier really do support and really have a positive impact on the goal that we've set ourselves with Amsoil in terms of supporting and growing their distributor network. Another example is slightly different. Susanna mentioned that obviously you should never discount your website. Your website is still a very crucial part of the buyer's journey. And this is an example to really show how those AI-infused tools can also enhance your website to really drive better lead generation. So traditionally, a website redesign focus on look and feel. These days is all about performance, usability, visibility. So I mentioned that earlier, kind of in passing, but to me it's really important for everything online, a website in premise. It has to be fit for the user. So once you drive someone to the website, they need to be able to navigate it clearly. They need to be able to find the information they want and cohesively learn and get through that a conversion path you want them to take. But it also needs to be easy to read for your Google bots, your Microsoft bots, those LLMs. So there is a fine balance between our website looking good, our website working great, and our website indexing and being seen online. So all of these, we use a very, very data-driven approach infused with AI tools that really allow us to improve keyword optimization for better discoverability, user experience to increase that engagement and conversion, but also visual content to better communicate the brand value. And then that data runs throughout everything that we do to continuously improve performance. So it really is, the website is not a one and done. It really does need, continuous attention and continuous effort throughout. One more example here on social media linked to the website. Again, this was a very specific campaign driven by lead generation, again, in different markets. So social media, I just wanted to bring this in because it's not anymore just about engagement. It really directly impacts lead generation in this AI-driven world. I showed you earlier that circular ecosystem where every touch point, every moment someone spends online can be used and should be used to communicate brand value. So here we've taken a Michigan headquartered company into the Middle East, into Latin America, and really built not just a website, but also a funnel of content that would leverage different platforms from search engine through a little bit of paid advertising, all the way through social media, telling a story, and all of that was built with and reported back with a data-driven approach. So really what we wanted to do that is everything AI tools here really helped us connect all of these touch points. It's really difficult if you look at them in isolation. So we've built something here that was cohesive. We made sure that the personalization run throughout our campaigns. But then I go back to my next slide when we talk about data. This is where AI really can support with tools that help you track everything. Once upon a time with a linear approach, comes in from Google, visits the website, converts. It was very easy to attribute lead ROI. So I'm doing this trade show, I get the lead. I'm posting this ad here, I'm getting the lead. I'm working with a partner, I'm getting the lead. Now it takes anything between, it used to be 4 touch points, now is anything between 7 and 12 touch points before someone actually converts. And that's for both lead generation and e-commerce. We touched on e-commerce earlier. So having a very strong tracking that is based on your ROI. So here we have some data from a partner of ours who's very kindly agreed to us showing you some of their dashboards. They have a very clear idea of what they want to track, and everything has been built to make sure that we can track all of that cross network, as we call it. Someone is on an LLM, they come to your website, then that they are seeing again on social media, and then they're coming back maybe through Reddit. All of that is it's kind of tricky to track, but with the right tools, then we can really demonstrate a strong ROI, and that allows you not only to go and be able to ask more money when something works, through your boss and say, hey, look at this, but also you'll be able to decide which activities, which platforms are actually driving results. And then you can be a lot more driven, you can be a lot more specific in your strategy, because no one marketing channel works the same for everyone. So having the data, being able to base your decision on that is something that some of these tools have really allowed everyone to do now, which used to be like more of a real data science behind it. So I'm really excited about some of these tools, and I hope this answers some of the questions that we highlighted at the beginning.
Thank you, Joelle. Let's just quickly ask anybody if they would like to learn more about our digital marketing programs. Let us know. We promise not to spam you. We promise not to call you. We just send you a couple of blogs or send you some avatars. We love our avatars, and you can let us know. And then whoa, there's lots of interest. Thank you very much. We will send you some emails with some content in it. And by the way, I've had a couple of people asking. You will get a recording of this website in your inbox tomorrow. It's sent by a GoToWebinar, so I hope it's not in your spam box. And if you want a separate copy of the slide deck, for that, you've got to just send me an email or send Joelle an email, and we'll try and do that. Then I'm going to close that poll. Just rounding up final final sort of words and then some Q&A. So we just wanted to sort of reiterate a few of those comments that we said in the beginning. And first, I think the overall comment, which is that the digital marketing sphere has changed dramatically and for good. It's not going back to just those keywords and that sort of thing. No, we're now, if you're not paying attention to the LLMs, your competitors are. Put it that way. It's totally omni-channel, and it's it's all about brand management and all kinds of things like that. So the key remains still to have a solid base, making sure your website is at least there and good practice and sort of fit for purpose. But then having a look at your whole digital presence here, and you can start with your website, but have a look at your entire website presence. And that's just not just your social media. We have a LinkedIn page and we only post once a month. Oh, we need to fix that. Just think wider than that. Think about, are you on Substacks? Are you on Reddit? Are you reviewed anywhere? Does anyone ever talk about you in any other sphere? What is your share of voice on the online world? And that is something that people want to now track very closely. But here's a couple of things that you can think about for your website. When was the last time we refreshed this? Is it mobile enabled? All those things. Is it easy to navigate? Is the UX, the user experience, good or bad? And then, is it fit for purpose for AI? Is it fit for 2026? Step 2 is to figure out where that LLMs, where those large language models, that AI power fits into your existing sales and marketing, your marketing funnel and processes. So, using all those tools and figuring out which tools are best for you, what's in-house, what's out-house, and how to get the ROI that you need. And then, we encourage you. We're very pleased to see on that poll how many of you are already beginning to have some AI empowerment over various workflows. We would encourage that because it's going to be super important in the coming years. Lots of things to read. And YouTube and web, including NADEC and their conference in May, which is going to be featuring a lot about AI. So there's lots of things that you can, and we like reading. We do, not just online. We like reading too. So here's a couple of our favorites. There's a ton of questions, and we've talked a lot. We've only got about 3 minutes left, so I'm just going to dive right in. Joelle, a question for you is, we invest significantly and have always invested significantly in SEO and keyword research. How much should we now invest in GEO?
Oh, I love these questions, Susanna. And I am going to take I'm not going to answer it directly because it's really difficult to say, but I want to use this moment to reframe. Don't look at SEO and GEO or AIO as two separate avenues. Look at the GEO as an evolution of your SEO processes. So we looked at it earlier. Google still matters, SEO still matters, but GEO needs to be driven by your SEO work. It needs to work in synergy with it. So I would say from a budget perspective, from a resources perspective, start to shift 20, 30, 40% of the time into GEO activities while maintaining SEO. And then you'll see that the two work synergetically. But I wouldn't look at them as two separate budgets. Look at them as the evolution of one and another.
Okay, thank you. Absolutely, they go hand in hand. Joelle, I guess another question for you, and if you're uncomfortable with it, let me know. I can pitch in, which is a tech stack explosion. That sounds to me like we need more marketing budget. How do I convince my CEO?
I'll give it a go, Susanna, and I'll give you my opinion, and then I'll go yours. That's a great question again. I would say follow the data. Look at what the data is telling you. Look at if your competitors are out there, so you're getting outbid, and you really, the data shows that your buyer persona is searching on an LLM. They are searching on a specific way. Use the data to build that case study. Look at the initial data for your website. Look at the traffic that you start to get from ChatGPT. I appreciate no one can get 14,000 tools, and no one will commit to be, because it's not just the financial investment, is also you need to learn how to use them, you need to use them regularly. So that's where, it's very much an evaluation. Do we have the right firepower in-house from a skill set and resources point of view? And when do we bring in a partner? And that's a conversation that we have all the time. And again, we're happy to discuss the pros and cons of, doing it in-house versus getting a partner like IBT Online to support, and where is the, where the needle really starts to move.
Okay. Quick question for Anne. I know we're hitting the clock time here. Anne, where can I find my deck? My DEC. I guess they mean their local deck.
Yes, so you can find your local deck on the NADEC website. It's usaexporter.org, and there's a section on locating your deck there. So, depending on what state you're in, and some states have more than one deck, so it would be more your region. So please connect with your deck.
Good. That was please connect with your deck. That was a big message there from Anne. We promised this is going to shut in an hour, and we're bang up on the time. We have a bunch more questions. We'll reply to them separately by email. Thank you all very, very much. And as I said, you will be getting a slide deck, the recording in your inbox tomorrow. I want to say a big, big thank you to Anne and to the NADEC organization, and all to the local decks that provide such a helping hand to exporters and companies looking to grow their market share globally. And then always as Joelle, thank you. Great colleague, great show. And most of all, to all of you who took the time to spend an hour with us. We appreciate your time, and appreciate your coming with us and on this journey, and learning, hopefully learning a little bit too. See you all at the next one. Remember, we have a 5-part series coming up. Next one is April 22nd. Thank you all very much. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Susanna and Joelle.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.